Your brain is wired to be bored. And 100,000 years ago, that might have saved your life or invented art. Okay, here's what we actually know. Today, we're counting down the 8 strangest boredom killers in the Stone Age. Number 8, the wandering mind, the default mode network. In a landmark PNAS 2001 study, neuroscientist Marcus Rachel at Washington University discovered something bizarre. When your brain isn't doing anything, it doesn't rest. It activates a specific system, the default mode network, that lights up on an fMRI scan. This network handles memory, self-reflection, and future planning. But here's the catch, it only switches on when you're bored. Ancient humans didn't have podcasts or Instagram. They had firelight silence and a whole lot of nothing, so their brains spent hours in this default state, wandering freely through past hunts and imagined futures. Rachel's team found that modern humans who spend just 15 minutes staring at a blank wall show a 23% increase in creative problem solving afterward. Our ancestors lived in that state. Today, we interrupt this network every 47 seconds, about the time it takes to check your phone. 300,000 years of evolution built a boredom engine, and we shut it off the moment it starts. Which raises an uncomfortable question. What did Stone Age brains invent when they had nothing to do? Number 7. Rhythm before words. Music might be older than language itself. In 2006, neuroscientist Daniel Levitin at McGill University published This Is Your Brain on Music, arguing that musical ability predates linguistic ability. His evidence music processing happens in older brain structures, regions we share with birds and whales. Language processing, newer real estate. Pattern recognition, detecting rhythms in footsteps, predicting animal movements, was survival critical. But rhythm is also the foundation of music. Levitin's team showed that even infants respond to rhythmic deviation before they understand words. So when a Stone Age human tapped a rock in steady beats, they weren't inventing music, they were hijacking a hunting skill for entertainment. Before hello, before danger, before any word existed, someone sat by a fire and drummed. Not to communicate, not to survive, just because they were bored. And that impulse built something unexpected. Number 6. Boredom makes you smarter. In 2013, psychologist Sandy Mann at the University of Central Lancashire ran an experiment that sounds like torture. She forced participants to copy numbers from a phone book for 15 minutes, pure boredom. Then she tested their creativity. The bored group outperformed a control group by 40% on divergent thinking tasks. More ideas, weirder ideas, better ideas. Why? Because boredom is a motivational state. Your brain screams, do something more interesting than this. So it throws out random thoughts, bizarre connections, half-formed plans, anything to escape the tedium. That's creativity. Now imagine you're sitting in a cave 50,000 years ago. You've eaten, the fire's going, everyone's asleep. You're staring at the same rock wall you've stared at for 10 years. Your brain doesn't just tolerate that boredom, it weaponizes it. You start seeing shapes in the rock. A bison, a hand, a story. Suddenly, art isn't a luxury. It's what happens when boredom meets biology. Number 5. Gossip is ancient technology. 65% of human conversation is gossip. That's data from anthropologist Robin Dunbar at Oxford, published in 1996. Dunbar analyzed thousands of conversations and found that 2/3 of what we say is about other people, who did what, who betrayed whom. His conclusion? Language didn't evolve for survival communication, watch outline, but for social bonding. Primates bond through grooming, which works for groups of 50. Humans live in groups of 150 or more. You can't groom 150 people. So we invented gossip verbal grooming. Picture this 80,000 years ago, a group sits around a fire. No phones, no books, no TV. What do they talk about? Each other. Who's trustworthy? Who's lazy? Who hoarded meat? They're not wasting time, they're building the social glue that holds civilizations together, all because they were bored and needed something to do. Language didn't conquer the world through facts. It conquered through stories about people. Number 4. The invention of what if. Boredom invented imagination. Here's why that's strange to be bored. You need two things. First, a concept of time, past, present, future. Second, the belief that the future could be better than right now. Animals experience discomfort, but they don't experience existential boredom. A dog doesn't think, is this all there is? But humans do. And that's a cognitive leap. When a Homo sapiens sat by a fire 100,000 years ago, they didn't just think I'm bored. They thought, what if I go over that hill? What if I make a sharper tool? What if the stars are ancestors watching us? Every religion, every philosophy, every scientific question starts with, what if? And what if starts with boredom, the gap between what is and what could be. That gap is where imagination lives. And imagination separates us from every other species on Earth. Boredom didn't just pass the time, it invented the future. Number 3. The original leisure society. Stone Age humans worked 15 to 20 hours a week. That's not romantic speculation, it's ethnographic observation from anthropologist Marshall Solins' 1966 study of the Kungsan people, modern hunter-gatherers in the Kalahari. Solins tracked their time and found they spent 2 to 3 hours a day gathering food. The rest? Free time. He called them the original affluent society, not because they had wealth, but because they had time. They worked less than modern Americans, who average 47 hours a week, not counting commutes and emails. So what did Stone Age people do with all that time? They sat, they talked, they stared at the sky, they got bored. And in that boredom, they had the mental space to invent games, rituals, art, and stories. The idea that ancient humans were too busy surviving to be creative is backwards. They had more time than we do. Which makes you wonder what they made with it. Number 2. The world's first instrument. A 40,000-year-old flute made from a vulture's wing bone. In 2008, archaeologists discovered it in Hohlfels Cave in Germany. 5 finger holes carved with stone tools still capable of playing a recognizable scale. This is the oldest confirmed musical instrument on Earth. Think about what that means. 40,000 years ago, before agriculture, before cities, before written language, someone sat down and spent hours carving tiny holes into a fragile bone. Why? Not for food, not for shelter, not for survival. Because they were bored. And they didn't just make noise. They made music. Deliberate, structured, beautiful sound. Archaeomusicologist Wolf Hein recreated the flute and played it. The sound is haunting, low, breathy, almost human. Someone 40,000 years ago heard that same sound by firelight and thought, this is worth my time. Art didn't wait for civilization. Civilization waited for art. Number 1. The oldest thing made for no reason. 75,000-year-old beads. Necerius kraussianus, shells each the size of a pea each with a hand-drilled hole. Discovered in 2004 at Blombus Cave, South Africa, by archaeologist Christopher Henshelwood. These are the oldest known decorative objects made by Homo sapiens. Not tools, not weapons, jewelry. Here's what it took to make one. Find a beach 20 kilometers away. Collect shells, carry them back. Use a stone drill to pierce a 2-millimeter hole without cracking the shell, a process that takes 20 to 30 minutes per bead. Thread them. Wear them. All of that effort for something with zero survival value. Why would anyone do that? Because the alternative was staring at a cave wall. Boredom drove someone to invent beauty, self-expression, and status, signaling the foundations of art and culture. And they did it 75,000 years ago, when the global human population was maybe 10,000 people. We think of art as a luxury that comes after survival. But survival came first, because boredom made us clever enough to achieve it. Every time you put down your phone and let your mind wander, you're doing the same thing that person in the cave did, making something out of nothing. And that's the thing boredom has always been good at.